hater. I've been known to spit the flows and make it shaky, shaky thing. Pop it, lock and stop and let it hang. Watch us as we drop this hip hop, it's like it stings. We make a whole room drop and everybody sing. We want the funk. We gotta have that funk. We kick it old school, we think we're so cool. We take it back to the past, we gonna act a fool. Up jumps the middle finger, make my Jaeger.
Hello, hello, hello. Welcome to Sports Buzz, the Fanatical View. I am your host, Scott D. Lewis, here live in studio, Comcast Cable, Channel 23, downtown Danbury, Connecticut, on this much more spring-like day, April 26th, as April is almost over, and we're finally getting a little bit of the taste of the weather we've been looking for after we know all too well of the extended winter that dragged us all down. But it was definitely a little bit nicer out today. It's been getting much nicer, so that is pleasant. We are here until 7, so if you want to get in, the phone lines are open, 203-792-4101. I am joined this time in studio after the road trip call from my right-hand man, Mr. Bob Barb Jr. last week. He is back from vacation, and he is here.
Yes, I am. I'm
How
back.
you doing there, Bob? Too bad the weather wasn't this nice for you last week while you were on the road.
Well, we had two good days, and to start, and then it just got cold on Sunday, and then it got rainy, and but we had a good time. Though, I got to thank Jolene for doing a bang-up job of getting tickets for us, and
you guys had a good time then.
Oh yeah.
Jenna is here in studio helping out the crew. She's probably directing, running audio.
Yeah, she's doing the
graphics. She'll probably come in here later and try to talk on air as well.
As you can see in the background, she has a new headshot.
Oh yeah, right there. Look at that, the school photo. Very lovely photo of Jenna, who is helping with the crew. Bob's show is Spotlight on Tuesday nights at 9, Wednesdays at 12. Jenna is joined by Mike Toohey, our usual director in studio. His show Expose Cinema, Friday nights at 9, Wednesdays at 1. And unbelievable, Bob.
Yes.
Strange Man is alive and well, and he is in the studio. We've been getting him on the phone lately, and he's been texting me quite a bit. But he has shown his face for the first time in quite some time, so he's in there in the control room as well. Maybe he knew that this was episode 250.
Yes.
Kind of a big deal.
Yeah, congratulations for making it a quarter of the way.
250.
Yeah.
It's a decent number.
It is. It's a great number.
And so we're going to dedicate the entire episode 250 to the NFL draft preview. Are you ready?
I don't think that would go over too well.
Here's the preview. There will be players drafted tonight in some sort of order, and then tomorrow we'll all discuss.
Who's got the first round pick?
Browns, then your G-men, then the Jets. Who's going to trade? Who's going to stay? Who's going to take a quarterback? Who's going to go for a running back? I don't know. It should be interesting, but the draft does get underway tonight.
Any idea who's going to be the top?
I don't know. I've heard all the different There's 5 quarterbacks in the running. Who knows who's going to take who? There's smoke screens out there for everybody.
I do know that Brady's is playing again next year, from what I understand.
Of course Brady's playing again next year. We knew that. I mean, it's such non-story stuff. These guys have nothing to talk about, nothing to write about, so they make up these stories about is somebody playing or not playing. He's under contract for 2 more years. He's not walking away. I mean, they almost won the Super Bowl last year.
I know.
I mean, give me a break. Him and Gronk, of course they're coming back. And Edelman's coming back. That's his favorite guy. Why would he leave? He wouldn't leave. You know who left, though, and came back? Did you hear this in the news this week?
No.
The Pope. Mike Francesa.
Oh yeah,
What? What happened?
He was gone, and now he is back on the radio, ready for his
19 months of farewell tour, and then he all of a sudden announces he's coming back.
Yeah.
So Francesa is back. I think maybe he thinks that this Yankee team is good. I mean, they're young. I think he thinks something's going to happen with his team, and he couldn't live without being there for it.
But then again, you never know. The Yankees have had banner teams in the past, and then all of a sudden go on.
We'll see. I mean, we'll get into baseball at the end of the show, but we got other things to get to. Let's mention the Celebrity Breakfast, Bob, speaking of baseball.
It's coming up.
Maybe tell Mike that I think that camera 2 got hit a little bit or something. He changed it or something. That shot's not so great anymore. Chris Chambliss is the host for June 8th.
He is.
And that's the 24th annual Celebrity Breakfast for the Westerners. And make note, you've talked about this already, the games start that week.
Yeah, they start on that Wednesday at home.
At home. So usually the first game is that Friday night after the breakfast, but they'll play some games before the breakfast.
Because the guys are coming in on the 1st, and which is that Friday, and then on the 2nd, we are having a celebrity clinic for the kids.
Okay. So plenty of stuff will be happening. That's early June.
Yeah.
It's the end of April now. May will come and go, and it'll be right here. So start thinking about that. Speaking of things happening in May, musically, our musical backdrop, Fatty Roots, they, of course, play our music in the background. They are back on the scene. That's a little better, Mike. Thank you. And they are back on the scene actually next weekend, back up in Ridgefield at the Ancient Mariner on a Sunday afternoon, which is really a good time.
Are you going to go up and do some filming?
I'm going to go check that show out. I'm not going to film that one, but I am going to film them May 19th, Local Palooza up in Bethany, Connecticut, which is up in
nice
like
up there.
Naugatuck area near Waterbury, in between, that kind of part of town. So there's a Local Palooza music festival on a Saturday, the 19th. I'm going to go there and film. They're looking for some new music videos. And they're also doing a festival, the Riverfront Festival in Shelton in June. So they got some stuff coming up. And rumor has it they're going to be playing at the Note in Bethel, which I think Dave King is playing at the Note this weekend. He's been playing there a little bit.
Right.
They've got music there all the time at the Note. So we'll check out some Fatty Roots coming up. All right, let's get into it. Last night, the two most exciting words in all of sports, Game 7 was in Boston, and it was the Bruins, after holding a 3-1 series lead over the Toronto Maple Leafs and being forced to play Game 7 after Toronto won Game 5 in Boston, Game 6 in Toronto. The Bruins in really a highly contested, highly competitive game last night. Don't let the final 7-4 scores fool you. This game was as tense as it gets. They were down 1-0 right away as they took a bad penalty. They tied it pretty quickly.
Right.
Made it 1-1. The first period was wild. It was 1-0, 1-1, 2-1 Toronto, 2-2, and then the Bruins got a goal in the last 30 seconds of the first period to take a 3-2 lead into the locker in between the first and second period, and you thought, okay, he survived that crazy first period. Maybe they'll settle it down there at home. Not to be, as in the second period, the Maple Leafs come right back, get a tying third goal, and then right here you see it on the breakaway, a shorthanded, disgraceful goal. Unbelievable. You had to be shaking your head. I was screaming bloody murder as they give up a shorthanded goal to go down 4-3 in the second period. They did nothing offensively in the second period. The air went out of the building, it seemed a little bit. But right away, Bob, in the third period, they came out guns a-blazing, flying all over the place. Got a big blast from Torrey Krug from the blue line on a 4-on-4. Then there was a second 4-on-4, and DeBrusk, another young player, got a little bit of a breakaway. Not really a breakaway. He was contested, getting knocked to the ground as he put it between the goaltender's legs for the 5-4 lead. And then they got the 6-4 from Pasternak and the empty netter from Marshawn late to ice it at 7-4. So they do survive and advance. This team is a nice combination of young, exciting, fast players who don't seem to care about what kind of big moment it is. They're in it. And they're getting contributions from all their young players.
Oh, yeah.
You know of McAvoy and Krug and Pasternak, but they've been getting them from some other guys as well. As the pipeline continues, Haney or something like that, another kid they put in the lineup last night, he scored. He was one of the leading scorers in the AHL this year.
Right.
They brought him in. So, and they didn't even play Donato much. He played the first or second game. They've also made the trades for your guy Rick Nash.
Right.
Other veterans. So it's and they have their core of Chara and Marchand and Bergeron and Krejci. So it's a nice combination. The only thing we worry about is Tuukka Rask, who in the second period I was thinking to myself, if I never see him again, I won't be too upset. They did win it. So he'll go on, and they will go on to face Tampa, who dispatched the Devils in 5 games in the first round. So it's going to be Tampa versus Boston.
Well, we were stopped when we were down there for on vacation. Well, the Hershey Bears were playing Bridgeport Sound Tigers.
Okay.
So we had a ton of fans for both. Staying at the hotel. It was great. I mean, they were
some good. It was. Are they in their playoffs? I would imagine.
Yeah. Well, they're done. Their season's over.
All right.
But it was nice. Talking to people from Connecticut who were down for
traveling, right? And in the other side of the bracket, in the second round here, it'll be the Penguins, the 2-time defending Stanley Cup champions. It doesn't sound great to have to say that, but it's true.
Yes.
Versus the Washington Capitals. How about the Caps, Bob? Losing those first 2 games in overtime at home to Columbus, and then winning 4 straight.
Yeah.
Game 3 was the double overtime affair in Columbus, which was really do or die. I think Game 5 was overtime as well.
It was.
And they did win it 4-2 series-wise.
Yeah.
And they got it done. All right, you want to take a stab at what their record is all-time against the Penguins in the playoffs?
Washington's?
Yeah.
I'm going to say probably...
They played 10 times.
They played 10 times?
How many times do you think they've won?
Probably 6.
Oh, you would be very wrong in that circumstance, Bob. The Capitals are a 1-9.
1-9.
All time against the Penguins. And how about this, Bob? In all 5 Pittsburgh Penguins Stanley Cup championship seasons, including those Mario Lemieux years of the early 90s back-to-backs, they have beaten the Capitals in the playoffs en route to that Stanley Cup final.
Oh, wow.
So every time they've won the Stanley Cup, they've gone through the Capitals on the way. The last year, we remember a 2-0 Game 7 in Washington.
Yeah.
Washington couldn't do it again last year. I don't know. I thought Ovechkin played very well.
Ovechkin plays a great game.
He was energized.
Oh, yes.
Like, he was really invigorated in this series against Columbus. We'll see what happens. They turn to dust and they face the Penguins.
I would like to see them go all the way.
They are known as the choking dogs down in the D.C. area on the sports radio talk show circuit, so we'll see. But not a great record overall. Out west, Vegas in their first year ever against San Jose. Both those teams swept through their first round. And the Predators, who made it to the Stanley Cup Finals last year versus the Winnipeg Jets. The Avs did give the Predators a little bit of a trouble. They did force that Game 6 at least, so it did take 6, but they got it done, beating them in Colorado for that final Game 6. But it was a good bounce-back season for the Avalanche, I thought. All right, NBA action, usually fantastic, and so far been pretty good. Playoffs
are doing fantastic.
Hey, they can't win, Bob. How about this for another stat? We'll get to the strange man stat in a second. What do you think the Celtics record all-time is when they have won the first 2 games of a series in their history?
How many?
They've won the first 2 games 31 times.
I'll say it's got to be at least 20.
Higher, Bob.
Higher?
Higher.
30?
31-0.
Wow.
When they've won the first 2, which they did in this series.
Right.
Of course, this team is marked by injury, although Marcus Smart came back in Game 5, played a pivotal role in the game, really defensively, got some big rebounds, made a few shots. Really was just the all-around player that we know he is, makes winning plays. The final minute or so of the game when it was very tight in that 92-87 win, he made some big-time plays, and they held off the Bucks. And also, if you notice, the final score only allowing 87 points. They've been giving up much more than that while he's been out. So he came back, anchored the defense. And how about this? The coach, Bob, we talk about Brad Stevens.
Right.
How about this for a coaching move? He decides to put in the rookie. You know about Jason Tatum. You know also we'll mention Jaylen Brown when we get to the stat of the week. The second year player, and some of the other rookies they have. but he decides to start Semi Ojeleye, the rookie, in Game 5, a crucial game because he wanted his defense, basically, against Giannis Antetokounmpo, or however you pronounce that, the Greek freak from Milwaukee there, and he held him to like 18 points. He shut him down, basically.
Yeah.
What a coaching decision that was, and he made a big three early in the game as well. All right, the strange man stat of the week, Jaylen Brown, youngest Celtic ever to go for 30 points or more in a playoff game, and then he did it again. He went for 30 and then 34 in the loss in that crazy Game 4 in Milwaukee when they were down 20 points and they rallied, tied it, and lost at the buzzer basically on the tip-in by the Greek Freak. So Game 6 is tonight. Celtics will look to close it out on the road. I think they've kind of figured out what they want to do defensively, but you know, playing on the road is different than at home. They do have Game 7 at home if needed. I'm hoping they get through this series. We'll see who they play. The Raptors, you know, I kind of saw this coming last night as I was watching a little bit back and forth in timeouts, going to the Raptors-Wizards game.
Right.
And then I was tracking the score as I was as the third period was going on. I saw the Wizards were up by 4 with about 8 minutes left.
Right.
And I said, you know what's going to happen in this game? They're going to get the starters back in the final 5 minutes, and the Wizards are going to whiz like they always do. And the Raptors are going to win. What happened? They went on a 12-0 run in the last 3 minutes of the game to pull away for a 108-93 victory.
Yeah.
They take a 3-2 series lead. They go back to Washington for Game 6. I mean, you know, Toronto was not done any favors by the Wizards falling apart down the stretch and falling to that 8th seed. We know that the Wizards are better than an 8th seed.
Right.
So it was a bad draw for the Wizards, and they're going to have to get through it. But I still think they're going to do it. The Raptors, the Wizards are just a team that you cannot trust at all. How about last night as well? The Pacers, they get even with the Cavs late. Then they force the bad turnover by Bron on the baseline. They get what they think to be maybe the last possession of the game. And Oladipo drives by James, goes for the layup, and James comes from over the back, over the top, blocks the layup after it hits the backboard.
Right.
How long have we been watching basketball, Bob?
Yeah.
What does the rule say when the ball hits the backboard? And then you block it.
It's done.
It's a goaltending, correct?
It's goaltending.
Every time, that's a goaltending. But when it's Bron, no call.
No call.
They get the rebound. He comes down, hits the three-point shot at the buzzer to beat them.
Right.
98-95 instead of them being down 97-95, which changes the entire dynamic of that last possession.
Right.
And, you know, the pressure and everything is much different in that circumstance. So the Cavs go up 3-2. Game 6 is in Indiana. I think it's going to be a tight game. I don't know. It might go back to 7. We could get a bunch of Game 7s in the East here.
That's very possible.
Sixers took care of Bron's old team and old friend D. Wade in 5. Sixers are a good-looking young team, Bob.
They are.
Very good.
Are.
And they will play the winner of the Cavs-Pacers series. I like their chances if they get the Cavs. And the Celtics will, if they get past the Bucks, will face the winner of the Raptors versus the Wiz. Out west, Pelicans swept the Blazers. Warriors took out the Spurs in 5. Rockets took out the Timberwolves last night, finishing that off in 5. And the Thunder, whose season looked to be over last night when they were down 25 points and down 3-1 against the Jazz,
and then came back.
Won it at home in Oklahoma City. They will go to Utah for Game 6. I like Utah to finish it in Game 6. I think when you have a 25-point lead and you blow it, they still can't take away the fact that you are better than that team because you had that 25-point lead and you had that 3-1 lead. I think they will do it, and I think they will get it done. How much time we got? Inside 10 minutes, are we, or no?
Are we inside 10 minutes? Yeah, we're just under 10.
Okay, so we will get to baseball in a second. We have been talking a lot about the soccer, international soccer. Remember, World Cup is going to start soon enough.
I know.
No USA, and even worse, no Italy. Oh, Yeah, maybe that's why I'm so into this Champions League, because some of the Italy teams that are in it.
So you have nothing really to root for, unfortunately.
I know, but I got to get it now. So this week, the semifinals first leg got underway. Liverpool, who has been playing lights out, lit up Roma at home 5-2. But the way it is with the aggregate goals and the road goal as the tiebreaker, 2 goals on the road is big for Roma. Remember, they got past Barcelona after losing 4-1 in the first leg and then beating Barcelona 3-0 at home. So the blueprint is there. They just did it against Barcelona. Maybe they pull the shocker again and make it to the final. And on the other side, it was for the 26th time ever in the Champions League, Real Madrid facing up against Bayern Munich, and Real Madrid won it 2-1 in Germany. Wow. So they look good going into the second leg. I'll take a moment just to talk about the MLS before we get to baseball, because we haven't mentioned the fact that MLS season has gotten underway. They're about 3-4 weeks in,
right,
and we haven't mentioned it at all. So I just want to mention NYCFC is in first place out of the gate with 17 points, 5-1-2. Good start for them. New England, who has not made the playoffs in last couple of years,
right,
since that year they went to the finals and then were eliminated in the first round. They've been out the last 2 years. They're in fourth, and the top 6 teams do make the playoffs. So 3-2-2, decent start for them after the disappointing last couple of years. Red Bulls are holding on to that last playoff spot early, 3-3-0. All right, baseball, Bob. You know, the Red Sox have been tremendous to start, but all of a sudden in Oakland, what happened on last Saturday afternoon?
They hit a bump.
And that bump was a no-hitter.
Yeah.
A no-no in Oaktown. As they were shut down on Saturday, and then they lost on Sunday as well.
Somebody's calling.
We have a phone call. Strangeman is here, so who could this be? Hello, this is Sports Buzz. You are live and on the air.
Oh, excellent. Hi, this is Basil Budakat, host of Basil Budakat Presents.
Hello there, Basil. How you doing?
Good. Question for you. In baseball, you have a choice between Andres Big Cat Galarraga.
Yes. I met him once, actually.
I did too.
Or Harvey the Kitten Haddix in his prime. Who do you take?
Ooh. Who was the second player?
Who was the second player?
Harvey the Kitten Haddix. 1960, Pittsburgh Pirates. I think he was 19 wins and 1 loss in a Phil Regan kind of vulture kind of way. He would come into the game when they were tied and Pirates would win.
So we're talking about
won that year. That was the year that the Pirates beat the Yankees in the World Series.
I'm going to take Andres the Big Cat Galarraga because I met him once in Atlanta the year that he was traded to Atlanta. He asked me where a bar was. I was coming out of the bar that I worked at, and he was trying to get to a bar, and he didn't know where it was. I directed him on his way, and that was that. But and I also lived in Colorado at the time before Atlanta when Andres Big Cat played for the Rockies. So I have an affinity towards the Big Cat, and of course we know the caller here is a cat fan, so we have questions about kittens and cats.
I'm a cat.
All right. Anything else?
Dude, it's the dude that translates for me that's the cat fan.
Yeah. Well, I missed that.
I'm the cat of all cats.
You're the cat of all cats.
Okay.
All right. Well, we appreciate the call. Do you have anything else?
I appreciate your opinion.
All right. We'll talk to you next time.
Bye-bye.
The Budakat. All right. Interesting. Well, it was a pitcher and a position player. Hard to compare which one you want.
Right.
But I have mentioned my Big Cat story, and I always did like Andres Galarraga, an underrated player, kind of lost in history. He was a great hitter. All right, so the Red Sox got no-no'd in Oakland, and then they lost 4-1 on Sunday as David Price gave up a late home run after pitching a great game, really. And then they lost that first game in Toronto, did bounce back. Mookie Betts with 2 home runs last night for a 4-3 win in Toronto. Toronto, we know, lost 3 out of 4 to the Yankees this past weekend. The Yankees suddenly, Bob, so the Red Sox still 18-5.
Yes.
Great record, and their road trip ends tonight in Toronto. They'll be home for Tampa this weekend. The Yankees now 14-9, 8-2 in their last 10, winning 5 in a row.
Yes.
As they have taken on this week their annual cupcake, the Twinkies, Minnesota. I don't know why Minnesota bothers getting off the plane, Bob. Well, I mean, we go through this every year. It's a disgrace.
Well, it's like the Royals. You know, back in the day, the Royals were the farm team for the Yankees, basically, because that's where everybody would go.
This team is such a joke. And the Yankees, that first homestand they had was not great, but now they're starting to get some of that home cooking. We know last year was a story of them building their season with all those games at home in the first month and a half, and then finishing their season strong with all those games at home in the last month.
Well, Didi is on a roll.
We'll see what the Yankees do now, though, because they're heading to Anaheim and then to Houston, and then they come back home for Cleveland and Boston. So 4 big series in a row for the Yankees. We'll see if this has been a mirage as they eat the cupcake Twinkies lunch. Toronto's 14-9, Tampa's 9-13, Baltimore 6-18 in the Red Sox-Yankee division there. Other teams in the AL, Cleveland 13-9. Only team over 500 in the Central right now is Cleveland. Houston at 17-9, defending World Series champions. Angels 16-9, Seattle 13-10, Oakland 13-12. So 4 teams over 500 in the West.
Right.
Also 4 teams over 500 in the Central in the NL. Brewers 16-9, Cards 14-9, Pirates 13-11, Cubs 11-10. Arizona out west 16-7, Colorado 14-12. Dodgers not so great 11-12, Giants 11-13. Your Mets, Bob, lost last night to the Cardinals 9-1. 4-6 in their last 10, still coming in at 15-7. However, nothing to sneeze at.
No, that's still a good record.
Now, what do you think of Harvey going to the bullpen?
I had a bad feeling this was going to happen.
Do you think it was the right move?
Yes and no, because
bullpen could use a little help. They blew some games down in Atlanta this weekend.
Being a starter and everything, and now it'd be demoted to a.
Do you think he's going to be the type of player who is going to pout, going to be a good teammate, going to be like okay
I said,
with it?
It can go either way. The way he
I mean, we know he's playing for a contract.
Past, you know, the past.
I don't think his attitude fits the situation, but he is playing for a contract, so he has to kind of toe the fence.
Right.
But it would be nice if they got back to winning the way they were early and often. But not a great weekend, specifically with the bullpen blowing that game when they were up 3-0 the other night against the Braves. That was a bad one. Philly is 15-8, half a game behind you guys. Well, break up the Phillies. What's going on with them? The Braves 13-10. Nationals not doing so great at 11-14. So it was a great start, but you know, you can't let a bad week derail things. We saw what happened when they lost those games to the Nats, but they bounced back with that big come-from-behind victory we thought would get them back on the right track in Atlanta.
Are we here next week?
We are not scheduled right now, but my schedule changed, so we might be here next week. We will see. If not, we'll be back after that.
Okay.
So we'll see what goes on. All right, I do believe we are out of time. Thank you for tuning in. Thanks to the call, and that's that.